Look, I think we should concentrate on the Welsh national interest, and particularly in terms of the economy. I have to say that I think many of us are right to be afraid. Because, you know, it's a fact, isn't it? The sectoral composition of the Welsh economy is different. We have a much bigger manufacturing sector. Agriculture is more important to us. And that leads to a different pattern of trade. I mean, we're one of the only parts in the UK that has a substantial trade surplus with the EU. As we've heard from the leader of UKIP, the UK has a massive trade deficit. Not true for Wales. Wales per capita has the biggest trade surplus with the EU. And as a result of that, it makes a critical positive contribution to the whole of our GDP. I mean, brush down your memories of your economics A level. You know, Y equals C plus I plus G plus X minus M. Net exports. You know, in Wales we have a surplus, which is equivalent to about 10% of our entire GDP in terms of trade in goods. We're an export-sensitive economy. If that trade surplus goes down, it has a direct effect on our economic wealth and our prosperity. We've seen that already, actually. In 2014, we had a little glimpse of that. Exports went down by 11%. What happened? We had, I won't take any more interventions from you. What happened? What happened as a result of that? Our GVA growth went down in Wales, right? Because there's a direct relationship between our surplus in trade and our economy as a whole. Now, nobody can know for certain what will happen to our economy as a result of Brexit. 4 different scenarios have been offered by Leave. We don't know which one it's going to be. Therein lies the rub. Uncertainty is toxic for business, for investment, particularly for manufacturing, where the lead times necessary for investment projects are 3 to 7 years. That's the key. It's not the issue of the terms of trade, whether we'll have to accept tariffs or whether there'll be a compensating fall in terms of the exchange rate. It's the uncertainty that will kill the Welsh economy as a result of this Brexit. There haven't been many experiments when nations have walked away from a successful trading relationship, and there's good reasons why. Why would you? The only example that actually economists can find is what happened to the Finnish economy, when it lost overnight as a result of the collapse of the Soviet Union, half of its exports to the Soviet Union. You know, a 55% collapse in investment as a result of that. Actually the deepest, worst economic contraction to an industrialized country since the 1930s. That's what could be facing it for Wales. That's the economic argument. There are other arguments as well, which are closer to our sense of who we are. When we sing Hen Wlad Fy Nade in Wales, we sing as Welsh Europeans. The Celts were the fathers of Europe. We came in, by the way, through Asia Minor, which is now known as Turkey. We created, yes, some of the glories of European civilization along the way in our march west in Laten and Hallstatt. Wales itself is a fusion of that Celtic inheritance and Roman civilization. When we sing that other song, Yma o Hyd, we mean Europe too, because it contains within it that great creation myth of the Welsh nation, that we were founded by Magnus Maximus, Maxen Wledig, a Roman legionary born in Galicia. That red dragon flag that we all waved earlier is a Roman military standard. Draco Cocos, in vulgar Latin that you and I, Neil Hamilton, learned in Amman Valley, a Ddraig Goch, and that's just 2 of the 1,000 words of Latin that there are in the Welsh language. We're not just the original Britons of these islands, we're the original Europeans too. You're not just trying to cut us off from a continent, you're cutting us off from our own history in an act of collective suicide. If Brexit does happen against our own will, then maybe we can remind ourselves of the words of Raymond Williams. I want the Welsh people, still a radical and cultured people, to defeat, override or bypass England. If England does want to go off into some splendid isolation, then maybe we need a new campaign, rejoin, but this time as our own nation in Europe. Yeah.